What's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's Hell. Today we're going to go over the two new 5-stars added to the game today, Ellesperis and Beryl. Both of these units were created from the 2017 Fan Festa, and glad to say that they both look pretty cool. They're pretty unique, and there's a lot to go over in their kit. So let's get right into it for you guys. We're going to start with Ellesperis. She's a physical damage dealer. Her TMR is the Onimaru, 140 attack, 30 spirit. It's a one-handed katana, so if you want to, you can use it on a different unit that's dual wielding. It's also very good for her because it procs her trust ability, which we'll get to obviously in a little bit here. So outside of that, pretty decent. Nothing super insane. Masamune already has more attack than it, but you're going to want it for her specifically if you're going to use her. Now, her super TMR is Vampirism. It gives you 40% attack when equipped with a katana, 40% attack when equipped with clothes, so 80% attack total, and increase your physical damage against humans and demons by 25%. So the human and demon killer, pretty cool, but it's also just an 80% attack TMR if you have it. Clothes and katana, 80%. Okay, all right. Take my breath away. Like Sephiroth's got an 80% attack super TMR for katanas later on too. Her weapon selection: swords, greatswords, katanas, and fist weapons. 99% of the time you're gonna be wearing a katana. It's gonna be Onimaru because it's gonna proc her trust ability. If you're a newer player, she does have metal earrings from the current event that you can wear on her. It gives her 18 raw attack and 20% attack when equipped with katana, which, guess what, guys? Onimaru is a katana, so you can throw that on there as well. Now let's get into her kit here. Her innate abilities. Blood Twirl, physical damage, 2.4 times multipliers, HP sacrifice. So she sacrifices her own HP for a lot of her skills. So this is one hitter, not a lot of damage, and then it restores 800 MP or 800 HP and 20 MP to all allies except for the caster. It's kind of bad, honestly. It's a little bit of MP, not a lot of HP there. Jaw Dropper, increase your attack by 80% for 5 turns, and you negate 2 physical damage attacks taken for 3 turns. So maybe on a certain trial fight that maybe comes out with some AoE damage you wanted to survive, you use Jaw Dropper. Outside of that, you're not going to use this skill either. Open you up, physical damage, 3.5 times multiplier. 20% HP sacrifice with a 50% defense break for 5 turns. If you don't have a better defense break, you'll use it. If you do, this is also going to be a skill that you're just not going to use, all right? Vengeful Blade, physical damage, 3-point multiplier with HP sacrifice, 10% to all enemies. Heal 1.2k HP with an 18 times healing mod, split over 3 turns to the caster, and refresh some MP with the healing mod as well. So the little bit of spirit on Onimaru will help you heal a tiny bit more HP over time here. So you'll use this to AoE chain finish, maybe clear out some trash, and you give yourself a nice HP MP regen. If you don't have anyone else to give you an HP or MP regen every once in a while. So you will finally use a skill that we found in her kit. Now Overflow here, HP barrier, 1,500 for 3 turns to the caster with auto revive. Rarely used skill, maybe to survive a threshold attack that you can't normally survive with the unit. Outside of that, you're gonna be taking a solid pass on Overflow. Force Transfusion. All right, so it's a 2-hit skill, so it's a 1-hit physical damage with HP drain and a 1-hit physical damage with MP drain. Physical damage is a 2.1 times multiplier, and you drain 10% of that HP of the damage you do. So if you do like 1,000,000 damage, you heal yourself like 10,000, and you just, that's good to go. Or yeah, 10,000. No, oh no, 100,000. You heal 100,000. Yeah, 100,000 HP heal right there. Okay, physical damage, 0.3 multiplier with MP drain. So it's basically take you to full HP and MP if you do a bunch of damage. No problems there. Ambidexterity, you can dual cast any of her skills. That's pretty good there. Human Splitter and Demon Splitter, both 7-hit Divine Ruination chaining frames. Increases physical damage against humans for Human Splitter with a 4.8 multiplier and a 20% HP sacrifice. Demon Splitter is the same thing as Human Splitter, same multiplier, except it's Demon Killer instead of Human Killer for 2 turns to the caster as well. Same HP sacrifice, same multiplier, same chaining family. Blood Sacrifice here. Physical damage, 4.3 times multiplier with HP sacrifice 30% instead of 20% to all enemies. Increase your attack by 100% for 5 turns to the caster, and it's at the Octaslash chaining family. So she's got Divine Ruination, and she has Octaslash. Blood Sacrifice is going to cost you more HP to use, but it is also AoE. It also gives you a 100% attack buff, but that actually isn't that important. We'll get to that in a little while. So Hemomancer Strike, cooldown skill, 7-star. 4th turn cooldown available on turn 4. Physical damage, 12.5 times multiplier with HP sacrifice, 30% to one enemy. Decrease defense and spirit by 70% for 3 turns to one enemy as well. And this is the Graviton Cannon chaining family, and this is the first Graviton Cannon, also known as GC frame skill, that we're gonna have in global. As far as I know, I think one of the other ones, the second one that's gonna come out is like Xenosaga, Xenogears, whatever it is called. We might get it from there if we end up getting that collaboration. It's a fairly rare chaining family. I think like the new version of Hope in JP, the 5-star Hope, has it as well. There's only a couple characters who have it. So she's probably just going to have to chain with a partner if you're using Hemomancer Strike. for right now in global. Hemomancer's armor, 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1, 3000 HP barrier for 3 turns to all allies, increase limit burst gauge to full, not 100% limit burst fill rate, but 100% of your gauge, just full up. Or restore 2000 HP and 50 MP to all allies except for the caster. So a little bit of a starter build. You can do this to heal some HP and MP and give yourself some HP barrier for your whole party. It also will activate your limit burst, which is fine. Her limit burst is good. It's part of her rotation. But you probably won't use this on turn 1. Maybe you use it to survive, you know, an AoE threshold attack in a 10-man trial or a 5-man trial. She'll have a little bit of utility for your party that way. Doesn't give her an attack buff, but it's okay. She's got other ways to do that. Now let's get into her passives here. And this is probably the strongest part of her kit, right? We looked at her chaining skills. The multipliers on them pretty low, 4.8. So this is where she's actually really strong as the passive. So she gets 30% attack, Death's Door, chance to ignore fatal damage, 80% when your HP is above 10%. So that's almost always. Moribund Killer, 75% true double hand. Okay, just base, 75% true double hand. Unstoppable. If your HP drops below 41%, you get an attack plus 150 and defense plus 150 buff for 2 turns. All right, this is gonna be very easy to do. We'll get to that in a minute. Desire Incarnate, increased resistance to blind, confuse, and petrify, very, very strong. Auto cast Desire Incarnate at the start of the battle. Too Pretty to Hit gives her 20% dodge and 50% camouflage. Way of the Vampire, attack and defense and HP plus 30%. Increase your attack by 30% with equipped with Katana, so her TMR. 5% MP recovery per turn. And then we get the 7-star passives here. If you have her TMR equipped, you get a new skill permanently unlocked called Multi-Dexterity. And on top of that, you'll get physical damage against humans and demons plus 50%, so 50% more killers. 100% more true double hand and 40% attack. So you definitely want to have Onimaru on. Gives you multi-dexterity, 100% true double hand, 50% killers, and 40% attack. Definitely want that. A level 115, she gets 20% MP. And then level 120, she gets the ultimate Blood Dancer, 20% attack, defense, and HP, and 75% more true double hand. So yes, she has 75%, plus another 75%, plus 100%. Yeah, she has 250% base true double hand. Very, very strong, very, very easy to build this unit because of the insane passive she has. Plus she gets attack plus 20% from Ultimate Blood Dancer. Okay, 40% attack from Vampire Master. That's 60%. Way of the Vampire gives her 30% attack, defense, and HP, and 30% attack when equipped with Katana. So that's another 60%. So that's 120%. And then she also gets the attack plus 30% at base up there. 5-star level 16, so she gets 150% attack passives and 250% true double hand. So she is very, 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 very damage dealing oriented. And then multi-dexterity, if you haven't guessed, gives her permanent triple cast in her kit. And then Desire Incarnate increases her charm resistance by 100% for the rest of the fight and auto cast every time she's re-raised or the fight starts. So very, very high true double hand, very, very high attack. Triple cast permanently. Her limit burst though, let's go over that real quick before we bring all this information together. The Thirst, physical damage 6.45 times multiplier with a north 50% defense, so that's gonna be a 12.9 times multiplier to all enemies, with an additional physical damage 3-point multiplier with HP drain 30% to all enemies. So 12.9 plus 3, 15.9 times multiplier total and damage, and then recover 200 MP to yourself. It's not super expensive, costs 26 limit burst crystals. You're going to be able to chain a bunch with her because she's got permanent triple cast, so you'll be able to triple cast a bunch, cast the Thirst. So let's take all this information and talk about her strengths and weaknesses real quick, because I think she is pretty powerful, but she's not for everybody, and this is why. So if you've noticed, none of her skills have an element attached to them. Her weapon doesn't have an element either, and she has no imperils. So she has a lot of raw stats. She's very easy to build, but you have to build your team around her. That's totally fine, but some people might not be able to build a team around her, right? You need someone to imbue her with an element, and you need someone in your party to imperil. This gets much easier over time. If you have access to that, that's her one weakness. You take that weakness away. As far as taking advantage of elemental damage, you need to do that. You can't elemental chain. You can't do bonus damage to the enemy based on their elemental weaknesses. You can't take bonus damage to imperils as well. So you don't want to be locked out of that. If you cannot do that, you don't have a team that you can build to do that, then she's probably not for you. I know she's got a lot of stats, but if you're not doing, ×2 damage because you can match your light element with a minus 100% light and peril or something like that. She's just not going to be doing that much more damage than someone else that you can get access to later on down the road. Now, the other thing that's sort of weak with her is her chaining multiplier damages. The multipliers and her chaining skills. Okay, 4.8, that's really low. All right, but it's okay. It's a little bit more balanced because she has permanent triple cast. She doesn't have to take turns unlocking triple cast or anything crazy like that. So she gets a triple 4.8 multiplier per turn. If you don't have the way to sustain her HP, instead of just triple casting, Human Splitter, Human Splitter, Human Splitter, because that's going to deal 60% of your HP and damage, you can go Human Splitter, and then go up to Force Transfusion, Chain Finish with Force Transfusion, because it's a one-hit skill. Get that chain finish modifier on it, and it's going to give you full HP and MP like every fight. So you can go Human Splitter, Force Transfusion, drain your HP, fill it right back up. You're totally fine. The other thing that she does get to do, I know she doesn't have like a cooldown skill that gives her a giant attack buff, but if you've paid attention, she has access to Unstoppable here, which is 150% attack and defense buff. You may have a better buff than this on your team. If you do, awesome. You don't need to worry about proccing this. But if you're a newer player or this is your first damage dealing unit and you're attracted to her because she has really high stats, it's very easy to get your HP to drop below 41%. If you're at 100% HP, entirely full HP, all you need to do is just triple cast Human Splitter. You go 100%, 80%, 60%, 40%. 40% is lower than 41%. So as long as you're triple casting a Human Splitter, every other turn from full HP, even if you want to, you're going to proc that 150% attack and defense buff guaranteed every single time. And then the one last thing, if you want to build a team around her, you need that Imbue, you need that Imperil to maximize her damage, because the Thirst is a one-hit skill. You need some sort of way to build a chain with other units in your team. If you have the way to build a chain with like a tank and a support chaining together to build a chain every once in a while, then you can do that and then chain finish the Thirst into a bunch of extra damage. So she can chain, and then she has a chain finish skill with the Thirst, guys. So if you can't do that, it's fine. It's still usable. It's still good. It's still a huge 15 times hit multiplier. But if you can chain finish it, then you get that 15, 16 times multiplier times 4 damage. It becomes much, much more deadly for you. And you're going to full heal your HP and MP chain finishing that 100% of the time. Even if you don't chain finish it, you'll probably just full heal your HP. 3.0 multiplier, 30% HP drain. Yeah, you ain't dying today. Definitely think about Ellesperis. Think if she's useful to you when pulling on the banner. I think she's pretty strong, but she's not for everyone, like I said before, guys. So let's go on to the next unit here, Beryl. It's just called this unit 1,000 Ways to Die. All right, so his TMR is the Light's Vengeance. Very, very strong for Beryl. In fact, I think 9 times out of 10, unless you're going for some sort of elemental resistance magic tank Beryl, this is his best TMR, and you just want like 4 of them on him. All right, so increase your HP by 20% and your magic and spirit by 30%. It is stackable, so you can wear 2, 3, 4 of these if you so desire. His super TMR is the Fallen Angle. 10 attack, 142 magic, 142 spirit, 40% light and dark resistance, and then gives you the Signs of the Father, which give you increase your equipment magic by 50% when single wielding any weapon. So it has 50% true double hand magic on the super TMR, but that buff is only for Beryl. You cannot get this daggered and throw it on, some sort of mage and get 50% more true double hand. It's not going to work that way. So that buff is specifically only for him. Now let's get into his kit. His kit is overloaded, guys, so it's going to take a minute to get through it, and we're going to talk about how to understand it. All right, so his weapon selection is dagger, swords, and gray swords. 99% of the time you're going to use a dagger on him, but there are some other builds. We'll talk about those. His equipment with exclusive effects, you have the Fallen Angle, which we just talked about, the Eternal Flame, which gives him 15% HP. This is from the event, and then some 15% defense. So probably not the greatest thing ever, depending on what you want to use them for. Now let's get into his kit here. We'll start with the Alone in the Dark. 100% chance of provoke for 3 turns to the caster with 30% damage mitigation. Exposed Guilt is magic damage 2.5 times multiplier to one enemy with a 50% attack and magic break. Very good. Exposed Sins, same thing except it's defense and spirit break of 50% for 3 turns. Painted Black increases your dark resistance by 70% for 5 turns to all allies and gives your weapon currently equipped to Beryl Dark Imbue. Bathed in Light is the same thing, but it's light resistance in Light Imbue for 5 turns. All right, Heaven's Mode removes all buffs from the caster, increases your magic by 130% for 3 turns, increases your limit burst gauge fill rate by 100% for 3 turns, and then gives you 100 MP with a 0.5 healing modifier attached to it, split over 3 turns to the caster. So you get a nice little MP refresh going. And then enable skill to the caster. And this doesn't have a timer on it, so I'm assuming, and I'm pretty sure that I'm correct, like 99.999% sure, that it enables Seraphic Call forever to the caster. It gives you a buff where you just have Seraphic Call, and that buff just lasts forever. It's probably gonna be like under the special action thing, who knows, but you get Seraphic Call for the rest of the fight or until you die or whatever. Everyone's Grudge and chance of being targeted 100% for 3 turns to the caster gives you a 3000 HP barrier for 2 turns, and chance of countering physical damage with a physical damage 6.0 multiplier for 2 turns to the caster. It doesn't say that that there's a cap on the damage that you can counter with, so maybe you go like a counter tank physical true double hand build with him, you know, and you show Awaken, or you show Demon Rain, who's boss, with a 6.0 100% counter rate. That's some Grudge. This does cost 50 MP and 24 limit burst crystals to cast, so you can't just start the fight with this. Very important. You can't just spam that 3000 HP barrier over and over and over. He's got Heaven Pendant's Poke, magic damage 2.5 times multiplier with North 50% Spirit. This is the Octaslash chaining family. He's got multiple chaining families. This one's Octaslash. Heaven Judgment, magic damage 2.4 times multiplier with consecutive damage increase each time. It goes up by a 1.2 multiplier. You can maximize it to an 8.4 multiplier total. And it's AoE, and it's a one-hit skill. So you've got an AoE chain finish skill with Heaven's Judgment. Heaven Force of Light, magic damage 4.8 multiplier to one enemy with 60% light resistance reduction. So 60% in peril to light for 3 turns as well. And this is the Divine Ruination chaining family. So we got Octaslash and Divine Ruination already. Total Eclipse gives you the chance to protect all allies from magic damage, 80% proc rate, with damage mitigation between 50 to 70% damage reduction. On par with every other magic AoE cover, better than some of the 4-star bases, on par with all the 5-star base ones. For 3 turns to the caster, so some nice AoE cover there. And we have Heaven Ye Not Guilty, magic damage 3.0 multiplier with consecutive damage increase each time you use the skill. It goes up by a 1.5 multiplier, up to a 10.5 multiplier max, and this is the Chaos Wave chaining family. So he's got Octaslash, Divine Ruination, and Chaos Wave chaining families. Born to Die Hell mode is a 6-turn cooldown, available on turn 6. You steal attack, defense, magic, and spirit, and elemental imperils from all allies except for the caster. Mitigate damage taken by 40% for 2 turns to all allies except for the caster. Give the caster auto revive for 1 turn, and then the caster sacrifices himself, so Beryl dies, to recover 30% HP and 20% MP to all allies except for the caster. So this is a very strong but balanced support skill, right? Where you take everyone's imperils and stat breaks, remove them from the fight, sacrifice himself, put damage mitigation on everyone except for himself, and heal their HP and MP a little bit. So Born to Die Heaven mode, 6-turn cooldown, available on turn 6. Light magic damage, 12 times multiplier to all enemies. Decrease light resistance by 100% for 4 turns to all enemies, with a 70% defense and spirit break for 4 turns to all enemies. And then he does the thing where he gives himself auto revive, and then he sacrifices himself, and he heals your team's HP and MP a little bit. And this is available on turn 6, just like Born to Die Hell mode. Okay. Another cooldown skill, we have Seraphic Install Hell mode. 4-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Mitigate magic damage taken by 90% for 1 turn. So it's just like Demon Rain, or not Demon Rain, but Awaken Rain's magic damage mitigation cooldown. So very, very strong, very, very good. Allows you to survive a lot of magic AoE damage thresholds. You use this skill, you're just not going to die. So very awesome that he has that there. He's got Seraphic Install Heaven mode. 5-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Removes all buffs from the caster. Gives you a 200% magic buff. Increase your limit burst gauge fill rate by 100% for 3 turns to the caster. Enables Seraphic Redemption for 3 turns, and then gives you Seraphic Call as well. So let's get into his passives here. Shadow Counter, chance to counter physical or magical damage with Shadow Counter max 1 per turn. Cast in the Name of God gives him 10% MP refresh and gives him 50% physical and magic damage killer against humans. Everyone's Hope gives him a chance to counter physical and magic attacks 30% proc rate with Everyone's Hope, both max 1 per turn. And then Heart of a Tonberry gives him 30% HP, 20% defense and spirit, and increases his counter chance by 100%. So those 30% counters are actually 60% counters, so he's gonna be countering them all the time, all the live long day. All the live long day, guys. Kitchen Knife Master gives him 30% magic and spirit when equipped with a dagger, 100% true double hand magic, and 25% true double hand spirit. So as long as you're using one weapon, He gets 100% true double hand, 25% true double hand spirit. So that's pretty good there. Karmic Rhythm, auto-cast Karmic Rhythm at the start of a battle. We'll see that in a second. Unstoppable Martyr. If you have his TMR equipped, which is the materia, not his super TMR, the dagger, but the materia, gives him HP and MP plus 30%, 30% dodge, 30% light and dark resistance, and then he auto-casts a buff that makes him immune to stop at the start of the fight. So super awesome for the arena. MP plus 20% at level 115, and then level 120 is Judge the Guilty, gives him magic and spirit plus 40% when equipped with a robe, increases the modifier to Heaven Force of Light by 2.0, and increases the modifier to Heaven Penance Poke by 1.0. And then let's get over his conditional skills here real quick. So Shadow Counter is a magic damage 4.0 multiplier that uses your spirit for damage. Okay. Everyone's Hope is a 1000 base HP heal with a 3.4 multiplier, so it's like a Kiraga heal. This is AoE counter heal for magic and physical damage. Seraphic Call allows you to use Heaven Penance Poke, Judgment, Force of Light, Ye Not Guilty, or Born to Die Heaven mode twice in one turn. So he gets dual cast. This is the one that's unlocked for forever once you unlock it, unless you die or something. Karmic Rhythm, this is that auto cast at the start of the battle buff, and every time you're revived. 100% limit burst gauge fill rate buff, so he's got 100% high tide, but it is a buff. It's not like passively in his kit, so it won't stack with other high tide buffs, but it is there at the start for free. Mitigate damage taken by 20% for 3 turns of the caster, so he just starts the fight with that. Very nice. And then 150% spirit buff for 3 turns as well, so he's pretty self-sufficient. Karmic Rhythm is like a couple of good things, but they're things that should be in your party already, but if you don't have them, that's going to make Beryl even stronger for you. Beryl Null Stop just gives him 100% stance to resist stop, and then Seraphic Redemption is just like Seraphic Call. So Heaven, Penance Poke, Judgment, Force of Light, Ye Not Guilty, and Born to Die Heaven mode can be triple cast this time. And let's get into this last thing here real quick before we go over his entire kit and how you should use him real quick. Final Doink, max levels, magic damage 15.3 times multiplier to one enemy with decreased attack, defense, magic, and spirit by 74% for 3 turns to one enemy. So he's got he's got a single target, 74% full break. Remember, he's got a lot of counters in his kit, and he's got high tide passively. Just start the fight with high tide. So the 30 crystal cost is pretty expensive, but it's not that expensive. He's going to be able to chain for you. He's going to be able to counterattack for you a little bit with his different counterattacks. And he's got that passive high tide. So he's going to be able to fill this up relatively easily. Definitely worth maxing out. 74% break at max, 45% break at level 1, and the magic damage at 15.3 seems pretty good. So how would you use Beryl, right? We've gone over this, all of his kit here. He wants to provoke tank, AoE cover tank, and do damage all at the same time. So TLDR, I'll make a guide on Beryl, but just so you guys know what you can and can't do with this unit before you pull on him. He does a lot of cool things. He's got a lot of utility. He's got a lot of breaks. He does some damage. He's got great tanking capabilities. And he was designed around not being able to do all those things at the same time. All right, and the things that people are going to do the most often is Beryl. I made a joke about it. I expect more people to wipe their entire parties with Beryl than I expect people to do, period, with any other unit in the game, because they're going to be trying to do everything at the same time. They're going to want to AoE magic cover tank. They want to provoke. They're going to want to imbue themselves. They want to unlock double and triple cast. And you cannot feasibly do that. There's not enough turns to do that, right? If you start with an AoE cover and then you go to unlock double cast, you'll wipe your party. Because if you use Seraphic Install Heaven mode or just Heaven mode normally, everyone's going to skip over this part. You remove all buffs from the caster. So if you cover on turn 1 and then do this, you remove your cover buff. He was designed to not be able to do damage and tank at the same time. But I'll tell you how you can in a minute. So you cannot use Seraphic Install Heaven mode, Born to Die or Hell mode, or Born to Die Heaven mode. You can't use the Born to Die skills because you will put the re-raise on yourself, kill your Tonberry, he'll come back, he won't have cover on, he won't have provoke on anymore. So Heaven mode will wipe your buffs, Born to Die modes will kill him and wipe your buffs because he's dead. So he was designed around not being able to double cast or triple cast. But if you want Beryl and you're attracted to Beryl because you want to have a unit who can tank for you and do damage, you know, like Lilith or Victor or, you know, whoever, he actually can do that. All right, and so if you paid attention, you've noticed that Exposed Guilt, Exposed Sins, basically all of his damage dealing skills, they all have this question mark next to them, right? Magic damage asterisk. That's because they are physical attacks that do magic damage. I don't know why they were coded this way. Maybe someone was really smart. And for people who wanted to do this with the know-how, the knowledge, to make Beryl do both things at the same time. But physical attacks that do magic damage, we've seen before. Rem has it. Leela has a physical attack that does magic damage as spirit, right? And this means that it has all of the properties of a physical attack. So it uses physical killers. and it works with dual wield. So you can dual wield Beryl, you forego the 100% true double hand magic, but you won't really lose out on that much magic anyway because you're going to be dual wielding, so you get a lot of extra magic from your second weapon. And then once Item World comes back, you just run that weapon through Item World, you get a good roll on it. So instead of having 100%, true double hand magic, you might have like an extra raw 110, 120, 130, depending on how good your other weapon is. A raw magic with like another 40% magic on it, or you put HP Spirit on it, or Magic Spirit, or whatever you want on it, make it a little more customizable. So you really don't lose out on that much magic. And you no longer need to give yourself double cast. You no longer need to give yourself triple cast to do damage, because all of his damage dealing skills, Heaven Ye Not Guilty, Force of Light, Penance Poke, Expose Sins, Expose Guilt, even his Limit Burst. While his Limit Burst doesn't benefit from dual wield because no Limit Burst does, his Limit Burst is still a physical attack with magic damage, so it will use physical killers. You don't want to use magic killers on this guy, you want to use physical killers. So you can go ahead and build a dual wield Beryl. High MP, high HP, high spirit, high magic. We built one the other day on stream. Got like 16,000 HP and then like almost 1.9k magic and spirit at the same time. You can change it up a little bit, like we said before with Item World. But you can go ahead and you can do that, right? And then on top of that, you no longer need to imbue yourself anymore if you don't want to. You could go double non-elemental weapon if you wanted to, but you could use Frivia Needle. Right, Frivia has a new Octoslash. You can chain with Frivia. You can chain with, put a light weapon on his hands. You can chain with Divine Ruination. You can chain with a lot of different chaining partners using dual wield as well. And it makes his rotation a lot easier. Instead of trying to true double hand unlock stuff, you can't because you wipe anyway. But you'd have to go like AoE cover and to like imbue my weapon because I'm using a non-elemental weapon, and to unlock double cast, and to AoE cover again, and to now I can finally do damage on turn 4. With the dual wield build, you go, okay, on turn 1 I'm going to AoE cover, turn 2 and 3 I'm just going to do damage, turn 4 AoE cover, and then do damage. Way better, guys, so much better. You lose out on very few stats going that way. If that's something that you want to use Beryl for, know that there's a way around it. Spread the word. If you want to do damage and tank with Beryl at the same time, dual wield is the only way you can actually go, because trying to true double hand and double and triple cast at the same time wipes your covers, wipes your provokes, leads to your death. So Beryl's pretty cool. I love him a lot. I probably won't be pulling for him because I already have a lot of units who can do damage and tank at the same time. I have Alfredo, who's kind of cool. He's got Victor. Waking Rain doesn't really do it super well. I have Friend Lilith and stuff. So I don't really need him personally, but if he's someone that you want, he tanks just as well as anyone else. He's got just enough spirit. He's a little bit harder to build than other people because he wants magic and spirit at the same time in HP, but thankfully his TMR helps him and makes him an actual unit that you can use. Because if you have 2 Beryl, you can get at least 2 Lights Vengeance. If you get 3 Beryl, you can use 3 Lights Vengeance, and it's just going to be best in slot for him when trying to do damage and tank at the same time. So super good unit. The banner overall, if you're attracted to the units and you can make use of them, I say pull on it. If you're a newer player, and you want like you want to experience the true double hand meta, Ellesperis is probably gonna be better than any other unit you can use, especially if you don't have any Buster Styles, Martial Gloves, any sort of true double hand gear. If you don't have any true double hand gear, Ellesperis is totally fine. It's 250% true double hand attack out of the 300% true double hand attack cap, 150% base attack. As long as you can like give her some sort of imbue or something, a lot of units are coming out in the future who will be able to do that. So if you don't have one now, and you get an Ellesperis, maybe look for getting one of those units in the future. There are a couple that you can do now that I use on Twitch and stuff all the time, like Dash, stuff like that. And then Beryl, he tanks just as well as any other magic tank. So if you need a magic tank, go for him. If you don't have Awaken Rain, you don't have Bosch, you don't have anybody who's a dedicated magic tank, Beryl's totally fine. He's got that nice 90% damage mitigation cooldown. He's got some utility you can use. He's got that insane 74% attack, defense, magic, and spirit break, counter heals, all that fun stuff, immune to stop. Super awesome stuff there. And then he can also dish out some damage for you at the same time, maybe open up some chaining possibilities with another unit on your team. You have a tank who can chain. That means maybe you can fit a chain finisher in your team. It makes a lot of units better for your account if you have the flexibility that it gives you. So I like the banner overall. If you agree with any of those reasons as to your account and where you're at, then definitely think about pulling on the banner. Outside of that, you can go ahead and you can wait for future units. But let me know down in the comment section below if you're gonna be pulling on this banner and which one you want, and if you thought about dual wielding Beryl, because that's pretty insane, right? So I'll see you guys later. Catch me on stream tomorrow, Saturday, 7 p.m. EST. I want to see previous content, playlist sections where you want to be. Future content is definitely hitting that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.